Hey, it is 12 noon on Wednesday, which means it's time for this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. And what we do every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, is come to you live to our current students, our past students, as well as our future students, and help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry, help you get ready for your exam, studying for your exam. A lot of these topics that we talk about on Ask the Instructor are topics that are likely to show up on your exam. And what we're talking about today is a feeling that's universal almost amongst anyone trying to obtain a real estate license, really anyone that has to take a exam that's going to decide their fate. It sounds so intimidating, where if you don't pass this exam, you don't get a real estate license, you don't get to change your life, you don't get to go start a new career unless you could pass this exam. I mean, who doesn't get intimidated by that? Who doesn't get stressed out? The calmest, coolest, most collected people will get stressed out by this process. So it's completely normal to be stressed out, but you don't want to just say, oh, I don't need to be stressed. That stress is there, that anxiety is there to tell you, hey, make sure you're 100%, so that way you're at least 75% on the exam of getting that passing score. So what we're going to be talking about today is, kind of cooling your nerves, and with this, knowing what it is that you should do when you're going through and studying this. So we've developed a process, a strategy of really going through and studying for your exams, and we've tested this, we've tried it, it works. We've helped thousands of students obtain their real estate license, so we do know what we're talking about when it comes down to this. So if you're looking to find a step-by-step guide to passing your real estate exam, stay tuned. We've got a great episode for you today. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor, where today we're talking about passing your real estate exams. It's a necessary task if you want to be able to practice real estate in Florida, is passing your exam. Whether you're a average Joe common consumer that's never had a real estate license before, you'll have to pass this exam. Even if you've had a real estate license in another state, you've got to pass this exam. Maybe if you're from a certain state, there's a select handful of states, you can count these states pretty much on one hand, maybe one and a half hands. It's about 6 or 7 states that we have what's called mutual agreements with, and even then though, that means you have a license in this state, but you've still got to take an exam on Florida based on Florida laws and Florida specifics. So you've got to pass this exam to be able to get a real estate license, to be able to make money in real estate with practicing real estate services. So it's really an essential step. And I completely understand the anxiety. I completely understand if you're feeling stressed out and worrying whether or not you're going to be able to do this, whether or not this is possible. And it absolutely is possible. It absolutely is doable. And what we're going to talk about today is our pass first try strategy. And this is our recommendation for passing your class and state exams on the first try. And, we've developed this strategy because we wanted to, and we didn't come up with this right away. We'd probably be lying to you about what we recommend if we just kind of, came up with this out of the blue. This is after years of helping people get their real estate license that we kind of looked at what's working. We broke this down into a process that, okay, you've got to do this first. If you don't have this down, you can't do the next step, to do the next step, to do the next step, to be ready to go and pass your exams. And going through this process that we're going to talk about today is really going to kind of show you that once you've gone through and done these things, it should feel a little bit reassuring, because going through these things, these steps are designed to tell you as to whether or not it is that you're ready for the real estate exam. So I want to start off with the first step, and that first step is learn the information. Learn the information. Learn the info. And this is a required step. Unless you're one of those mutual recognition people from those 5 or 6 states that we have mutual recognition agreements with, the Florida Real Estate Commission will require you to learn the info. So if you're thinking about getting a real estate license, starting a real estate career, you have to learn the information. Why do you have to learn the information? The Florida Real Estate Commission requires you to take a pre-licensing course. We offer that pre-licensing course, and we have it both classroom and online, but one way or the other, you have to complete this pre-licensing course. Without this pre-licensing course, you're not allowed to take the state exam. You're not allowed to get a real estate license without completing the course. So this is one of the bare minimum, one of the bare essentials. Along with applying for the license and all that other stuff, we've got another step-by-step guide. A lot less effort on your part, really, for that step-by-step guide of do your application, do your fingerprints, and all that other stuff. We've got all this stuff posted on our website, tampaschool.com. So if after the show you want to go check through and look at any of these links it is that we're talking about, you'll find that all at the website posted at the bottom, tampaschool.com, and also the strategy we've got at passfirsttry.com. But yeah, learn the information is number one. And you've probably heard the ominous statistic, and this absolutely does not help when you're, again, anyone, any class, any instructor, any student, there's going to be a little bit of level of anxiety of, I don't know. Even if it's just a very minimal, I don't know if I'm ready to take the exam. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pass. And especially when you start getting these outside influences, the pressure on this, I was talking to somebody earlier this week, and they're like, I've got this broker that I know pretty well, and they want to get me in here as soon as possible, and they've already got more leads than they know what to do with, and hey, the real estate market in the Tampa Bay area is booming right now, so it's not uncommon to see this. But going back to the student, she's got this extra stress on her that she's got people waiting on her to go pass this exam, to go get her real estate license. Talk about extra pressure if it wasn't pressure enough already. So that's understandable. And these external, now that's good that you've got business lined up, because now once she's got that real estate license, she's ready to go out there and immediately start making money with that license. But now we've got that exam standing between this, which that adds a level of stress. And what will the common theme that we're going to be going through here is reducing that level of stress, lowering that level of stress so you can kind of focus on what it is that you need to do. Now, learning the information. So again, going back to that big ominous statistic, 50% of the people, 50%, half of the people that take the exam pass. If we want to be positive, if we want to look at the glass half full, but 50% of the people that take this class don't pass. Fail, if we're going to use the F word here. So that's scary. You hear that, especially where you're like this student, and you're like, oh no, half the people don't pass this. How am I going to be able to pass this exam when half the people don't pass? And that's not our particular statistic. That's a statewide statistic. I wish I could give you a statistic on our students, because I'm confident we do much better than half the people passing the exam, regardless of how much of this process it is that they're going through here. But unfortunately, they keep the state exam results confidential. So any school it is that publishes a pass rate or anything like that, it's probably just a made-up number. They're probably just talking about their class exam rather than the state exam, because the state exam, there's no way to directly track that information because it is kept confidential by the DBPR. And what the good news is for that confidentiality, is it doesn't matter how many times it takes you to pass your exam. If you've got to take the state exam 10 times to pass it, no one's going to know that you took the exam 10 times unless you tell them, hey, I took the exam 10 times. I'm a smart guy. Use me to sell your house. No, you don't need to tell people that. This is private, confidential information. No one will even know what the score was, including yourself. Now, if you don't pass, then you know what the score is, so you know what you missed it by. But when you pass your state exam, they don't even tell you what score you got. You could have got a 75%. You could have got 100%. Who knows? You're somewhere in that range when you're passing. You got at least a 75%, but you don't actually get to find out what your score is when you pass. So a lot of confidentiality there. But learning the information, this is all that's required. All that's required is for you to sit through the course. To sit through the course, that's counting as learning the information. You do have to pass the end of course exam, which that does require 70% on that compared to the state exam. Now, it's usually a little bit easier to pass the class exam because the class exam does pull from a smaller pool of questions than the state exam does. The state exam pulls from this is all hearsay and rumors. I've heard anything from 700 questions to 2,000 questions. They pull from a lot of different questions for the state exam testing bank. So there's a lot of different stuff it is that you might see across that. But again, going back to learn the information, this can be very passive, especially in the classroom course. The classroom is great. It's meant to be engaging. But in that group setting, in that group environment, any type of group environment, that class is going to continue moving forward whether or not you paid attention, whether or not you're fully retaining that material or not. Now, it's up to you to ask the instructor in this group environment, in this class environment, see, I threw that in there. Ask the instructor. Ask me. Throw in a question on our live streams here if you've got a question. Or better yet, ask your actual instructor. If you're too shy to ask in front of the whole class, ask them before class or after class or on break when it's like, hey, I didn't really quite get this. It might just be a small thing that maybe you're overthinking something or whatever that may be. But what this helps you do is this is help getting closer towards remembering the information. This is why that state exam pass rate is so low, because all that's required is just to learn the information, and that can be a very passive situation unless you're going out actively to remember this. So we're going to be breaking this down now as to what it is that you should be doing on your part rather than just going through the class. And maybe you're doing the online course. The online course is a little bit better of a structure compared to the classroom because it is a little bit more individualized, at least with our online course, because our online course is very custom to the learner. It's very much where it's based around the learner's experience. And what it does is it ensures that you're understanding something before it allows you to move on to a further section. So that's helping us getting closer to these other steps that we're going to talk about. This second step, before we go on break, I want to go and drop this in here so you've got something to think about while we're on break here, is reinforce along the way. So even with the online course or the classroom course or any course for that matter, this is a fairly long course. Not really, but when you think about all the information it is that you're going to learn, it's going to seem almost like an eternity. You're like, oh, wow, this seems like forever ago that I was learning about this stuff in these first few units. So as you learn Unit 1, as you learn Unit 2, and as you learn Unit 3, you move on and you go deeper and you learn more. And some of this stuff does build on previous information, but other stuff is just brand new separate information that's separate from what you learned earlier. And what happens is as you go deeper and as you learn more, you start to forget about what it is that you learned in the beginning. So you might remember this on day 1, but then day 2 comes around, day 3 comes around, and you're forgetting what it is that you've learned on day 1. So that's why you need to reinforce along the way. As you're progressing further and deeper into the course, you're reinforcing this information. You're ensuring that you know, and that you know that stuff back in Chapter 1. Because right before the exam is the worst possible time to start studying. You want to start studying right away. As soon as you start learning and taking in this information, that's right when you want to say, okay, I've got to make sure I don't forget this stuff that I just learned as we move further into the course. And that's a fundamental. This is our foundation. As we move deeper into this, I want to talk more about reinforcing along the way, but we're going to take a quick commercial break, so stick with us. I'm John Kirsten, while you're watching Ask the Instructor.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa? If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Chrismo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to answer your questions and talk to you about this technical side of the real estate industry. And today, we're rewinding back, or maybe fast forwarding, depending on who's watching out there, to taking your real estate exam. And this is a very stressful time. You can get high anxiety about this, and that's completely normal. That's completely natural. And having this plan of action is going to help calm your nerves. Having this, okay, I do this, I do this, I do this. You might still feel a little bit shaky, but going through these steps is going to help ensure that not only are you feeling comfortable with this material, but you are able and ready to perform and regurgitate this material for the exam. So we talked about learning the information, and that, like I said, is required by the Florida Real Estate Commission. You have to learn the information, whether that's a classroom course or an online course. You've got to learn the information. Next up, we've got reinforcing along the way. And we started talking about this a little bit, but the key concept here is as you go deeper into the course, you want to make sure that you're not forgetting about that stuff that's taught in the beginning of the class. Because we wouldn't waste time teaching this stuff if this wasn't important. So even the stuff at the beginning, it's not fluff to say, okay, we'll get to the stuff that's important. No, this is stuff that can show up on your exam as well. Now, for example, the first chapter, the first unit that's covered in the course, whether you're doing our classroom or online, it's only 1% of the exam. The second chapter makes up 6%, but even just that one little percent, that's one question. So you might need to remember every last detail of that chapter, but there's going to be at least one question on it. Then moving into Chapter 2, we're now up to 6%. And then Chapter 3 is 2%. And Chapter 4 is 7%. So as we go deeper along this, and don't quote me on those numbers, I'm going off my knowledge. I'm pretty sure they're right. I'd actually probably put money on it that I've got those percentages right there. But anyways, there's going to be, even these first introductory chapters that you're going through, a large percentage of them will be exam questions. Every chapter has at least one question that's going to be on your exam. You don't want to get to the end of the course and have forgot the first half of the course. That wouldn't do too well for you. So that's why we reinforce along the way. And let's talk about how we can reinforce along the way. Now, when you're reinforcing the information, again, it's not every last detail you need to remember. It's not. You don't need to remember every detail. I mean, a lot of people see the textbook that we get in the pre-licensing course, and it's like 600 pages long, and they're like, so you're telling me we're going to learn all this stuff over the next 2 weeks, the next week, the next 3 weeks, the next 2 months, depending on which class format they're doing, and yeah, we're going to learn this all. But you only need to remember certain key points out of that. And we try to make that easy, keep it simple. It's one of our core values of the Tampa School of Real Estate to try to keep things as simple as possible, because when things are simple, it's easier to remember. And what happens, and as we go deeper into this, the exam, it's unpredictable what exact specific way it's going to ask a question. I mean, we have a general idea of maybe some common scenarios that show up based on these different topics, but the exact scenario, the exact question, it's up for, it's kind of a luck of the draw. It's roll the dice. I mean, in the state exam, they're constantly adding new questions every day. The class exams, we have to update those every year with new questions. So there's new information that gets tested on and whatnot. So going back, reinforcing along the way, it's not every last detail you need to remember. It's the key concept. It's the key points that you need to remember, the simple fundamentals that you remember that will have to apply later in a more detailed, a little bit more complex way, but you've got to get these simple concepts down. And like I said, we try to make this easy. We give you highlighted sections in your textbook. In our online course, we've got little PDF like study sheets that you could print out or just save onto your computer, save some trees and not print it out, or print it out if you don't care about that. You're willing to pay the money for the trees and go get some recycled paper if you're worried about the trees and you still want to print it. But anyways, you're able to print this out and have these quick little study sheets. So there's all kinds of stuff like that already that you have right in the course. With our classroom course, we give you the PowerPoints for the class and all that other stuff that's in there. And with these are all great tools, and I definitely recommend doing everything it is that I just said. But when you're looking for something that will help you kind of automate this reinforcement of these key points, what I'd recommend is our MP3 audio review. And you'll find that at mp3audioreview.com. So our MP3 audio review, what this does is it basically narrates the key concepts of every unit. And this is the same because it's the same material you have to learn whether you're in the classroom, the online, or look, even if you took the class with another school, come purchase our MP3 audio review because it's the same content it is that they're supposed to be teaching that's going to be tested on the exam. So our MP3 audio review is universal for anyone that's trying to get a real estate license in Florida. And this MP3 audio review goes through the key concepts and narrates them to you. And as you go through this, because overall I think it's maybe about like 4 hours or so of audio that you listen to, which, I mean, it might sound like a lot, but I mean, if we compare that to the time it is that you're sitting in the class learning this information, it really trims out a lot of the fat and you're just down to the bare basics. So it might seem like this is oversimplifying these things, but again, it's these key concepts it is that you have to remember. And when you remember these key concepts and these key fundamentals, now you can apply those in a more complex situation, in a more complex scenario. So you got to start off with these key basics, these fundamentals, and this really helps. It's great. It's for automating this process where you could just plug your phone in because you could download this straight onto your phone. You could stream it right through your phone. If you don't want to download it on there, you just plug it right into your car and you listen to it when you drive. I'm a big advocate of audiobooks and podcasts and trying to educate yourself when you drive. I do a lot of driving, being in real estate and also commuting and just sitting in traffic in Tampa. So regardless of where you're going, the traffic is probably going to make you take a while going there. But even if you're only in the car for 10 minutes, that's 10 minutes you could spend studying while you're driving. And what might happen is you might drift off and start thinking about other things while this is going on here. But it's better than it not playing at all. It's working its way into your mind. Now, you could try listening to this while you sleep. I'm not a scientist, and we don't have studies on this as to whether or not just listening to this while you sleep is going to work, is going to help you remember this. But I'll tell you this, it's probably not going to hurt you. Actually, no, maybe it'll make you go deaf. Don't listen to it too loud, but, listen to it while you're sleeping, and maybe that'll help give you a little extra edge. But definitely listen to this while you are conscious, while you're driving a car, whether you're working out, whether you're riding your bike, whether you're going for a walk, whenever it is that you have time to put in your headphones, this MP3 audio review really helps you automate this process of reviewing these key points. It makes it easy. It makes it simple. And when it's simple, when it's easy, you're more likely to do it. Not everyone gets excited about cracking open a book and start reading through highlights or flipping through flashcards or anything like that. You might not get excited about listening to real estate key concepts. This is definitely a good thing probably to fall asleep to, especially the real estate law sections that are in there. I know the stuff gets boring, but it is stuff that you've got to know for the exam. But this is going to definitely help make sure that you've got this stuff memorized. And don't just listen to this once. Don't just listen to this twice. Listen to this 5. Listen to this 10 times. And watch as you start to remember these key points. And before you do anything else, before you go any further in these processes as we're going to be talking about here, you've got to have these key points down pat because these are the bare basics that you need to remember. This is your materials it is that you build on with these further concepts. Now, this is definitely setting you in the right direction, but we still want to move a little bit further, do a little bit more to make sure that you're ready for the exam. So our third step we're going to be talking about is test your knowledge. So testing your knowledge, the exam, the state. A lot of people wait for the exam. Wait until they go take their state exam to test their knowledge. And that's part of why that statewide state exam passing rate isn't so great. Because they wait for the exam to test them on whether or not it is they know what they say they know. Then they go and take the exam and they say, oh, wait a minute, this is more complex than the key concepts. In this step, what this does is this allows you to take the key concepts that you're getting memorized and that you're learning and trying to remember, and now you're applying those in a little bit more complex situation. And again, it's unpredictable. You can't predict how the questions are. I mean, there's common scenarios that we see that we had on our exams, that you'll probably see on your exams, certain situations where you're likely to see this, but the exact specifics of it, where you have to apply this isn't where you could just knowing the vocabulary or knowing these key concepts is just enough, because the questions aren't going to be, what's the definition of acknowledgement? No, it's going to now use that term acknowledgement, but in a complex situation where it's maybe giving you a story or some sort of situation. You've got to understand what acknowledgement means in this particular situation. So testing your knowledge sees if you could apply these basic key concepts in this more complex scenario here. So it allows you to apply this information, but on top of that, it also is going to ensure that if you're scoring well, testing your knowledge, if you're taking practice exams and you're doing pretty well, then you should be in good shape for your state exam, for your class exam. If you don't score too well, that tells you, okay, you need to go back, review those key concepts a little bit more, know them a little bit better so you can apply them a little bit better. We're going to talk more about testing your knowledge and some of the other steps that we recommend for getting ready to pass your exams on the first try. But we're going to take a quick commercial break first, so stick with us. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
You seen what's going on in Tampa? If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com. Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Chrismo, and every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to answer your questions and help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. And what we're talking about today is de-stressing, being ready to take the exam. And really, being ready for the exam means you've studied for the information you're going to be tested on for this exam. But, studying, it sounds simple. Yeah, study. You just review the material. And let's be a little bit more specific. We are about keeping things simple. Yes, you do have to study, but now, how do you study? What it is that you do. So number one, you learn the information, because you can't study stuff you haven't learned yet. So you've got to take either the classroom or online course. It's required by the Florida Real Estate Commission to get a real estate license, and that's going to be where you learn the information. Now it's up to you to make sure that you remember the information. The course is designed, especially our courses, we design these courses to be the best possible experience for learning and remembering this information, but it's still going to take some input on your part. We're taking you to the water, we're taking you to the best water in the world, but you've got to be able to drink out of this. You're the one that has to take that action to make sure that you're ready for this exam. So
Second thing we've got here, reinforcing along the way, making sure that as you go through learning new information, you're not forgetting about the information you learned at the beginning of the course, or even the day before the exam, or the last class before the exam, or before we start reviewing, because in our courses we make sure you have review before you take your exam. So before you start doing the review in the class, the stuff you learned right before that, and right before that, even those last couple things, it might be really recent, and the worst offenders for this are the things it is that you get, that you understand. You're like, okay, yeah, that's easy, I remember that. Then couple days, couple weeks, maybe months later, depending on what format you're going through the class with, you're like, oh, I remember remembering this, but I don't remember it so much now. And that happens. It's completely normal. Our minds are designed to constantly prune themselves and constantly get rid of information that it says is not important. And how does it determine whether or not this information is important? The repetition of this. Something it is that you do every day, breathing. You're not going to forget how to breathe because you do it every probably second or two of every day, maybe every second, probably every 2 or 3 seconds that you're breathing. And you don't even have to think about it. Your body just knows to do it. And it does it so much that it makes sure that you don't ever forget about how to breathe. Or thinking of how to speak. You don't have to keep relearning how to speak unless you don't speak. Maybe you take one of these, what do they call it, where you're quiet for like a week or a month, or you don't say anything, one of those, forget the name of it, probably because I think it's ridiculous, and that's why my mind doesn't want to remember this stuff. But when you're taking one of these silences, vows of silence, I guess maybe, I don't know if that's the official term for that, you might have a little bit trouble speaking. I'm such a good speaker. I'd like to say I'm a good speaker, but the reason why I'm able to communicate the way I am is because I'm constantly communicating every day, every week on Ask the Instructor and State of Real Estate and all the videos it is that we do. That constant repetition, that's reinforcing things. And you want to do the same thing when you're reviewing the material you learn in the course. Is you want to make sure as you go along, you're not forgetting this information that you learn at the beginning. You're constantly reinforcing this so it stays fresh in your head. You're telling your mind, this is important, don't forget this. And the way you do that, you can't just tell your mind that. You've got to repeat it again and again and again and again. And your mind will like, oh, well, this keeps coming up. This must be something important. We'll make sure that we don't dump this information. We'll go dump some childhood memory or something because, you don't think about that anymore. Whatever the case may be. Don't blame me. Blame your mind. It's how our minds work. It's how my mind works. It's how everyone's mind works. This stuff that's not important, that doesn't come up day to day, if you don't use it, you lose it. And this is designed to make sure you don't lose it because you're using it ideally every day when you're going through and listening to this MP3 audio review or doing your flashcards, rereading highlights, or looking at those little PDF quick sheets, whatever it is that you're using to review and reinforce this information along the way. You do that every day to make sure that you're in good shape. But definitely check out that MP3 audio review. If you go on that website, mp3audioreview.com, you could actually listen to the first chapter for free. So you could go decide if you like it, listen to the first chapter, use that to study, and then decide, okay, this is pretty good, and go purchase the rest of it. It's like it's a very nominal cost for that MP3 audio review. But yeah, check out that first chapter for free. Now that brings us to step 3, and there's only 4 steps, so we've got one more to cover after this testing your knowledge. But let's talk a little bit more about testing your knowledge. So testing your knowledge, this ensures that you're ready to go, that you're good to go, that you could take these key concepts, these basic simple points, and now apply them in a more complex scenario. And if you've got these key points really down, you should be able to apply them in these more complex situations here. And what you'll find, and there's some intricacies that you'll see in the testing your knowledge aspect of this as you go through different practice questions. And one word of warning I do want to offer about testing your knowledge and these practice questions. So there's a lot of practice questions that you can find available for free online. And what happens with the stuff that's available for free is a lot of times it's not kept current and up to date. The laws change not every day, but it seems like every day. They change very often, and this is new information that changes the laws that are tested on the exam. I've even seen some stuff by a very well-known publisher that's a little bit more in the space of college. I won't call them out specifically, but it's a name that you might have used to study for things in college, that they have a real estate exam study book, and I think maybe a set of flashcards or something like that. And I remember somebody bringing something to me, and they say, wait a minute, why does this say this when the textbook says this? And I said, well, that was actually true and accurate about 5 years ago. When did you buy this? And they're like, oh, I just bought it yesterday at Barnes & Noble. I was like, yeah, that's not accurate. I probably wouldn't use those things anymore just because they haven't been kept up to date. Any of the study materials it is that we recommend in here, as well as the information you're learning in our course, we're a Florida-based school and we're specific to Florida, and we make sure that all of our information not only is stuff that pertains to the Florida real estate exam, but that's constantly up to date. So if you're looking for ways to test your knowledge, in our courses, we've already got some stuff built in there for you. Your classroom course, your textbook it's got to be, I think, like 300 different practice questions in there. You've got a 100-question practice exam, a mock exam right in the end of it. At the end of every chapter, there's anywhere from about 15 to 25 practice questions. And what you're going to find out with these practice questions, going through them, the benefit of going through them, is you see how they're asking the questions. They're not just asking you for basic memory of this topic. They're asking you to take this simple concept and now apply it in a more complex scenario. So you've got that built into the course there. On our online course, there's all kinds of questions like this built in. There's a question simulator built right into our online course as well. But if you're looking for additional questions, if you want to have a bank of questions that you can go in and practice with, that you can use on your phone, your tablet, your computer, and if you leave off on your phone, it's automatically going to pick up on your computer, and then when you get a question right or wrong, you're immediately getting detailed feedback as to why this is the right answer, why that's the wrong answer. Check out our question simulator. And that's available at questionsimulator.com. So our question simulator, this is a bank of questions, and it pulls these different questions, and we keep this proportional to the FREC syllabus of which chapters have which percentage on the exam, so we ensure that the 1% chapter doesn't have all the questions in there. It has a proportional amount compared to the chapters that have the 12% and the 10% and 9% and 8% and these larger shares of the exam. And there's already something like this built into our online course. If you're not at the review section of our online course, wait till you get to that to decide if you want to do this question simulator or not. And this would still be a good addition, but you've already got a lot of practice questions already built into our online course. And if you're taking our classroom course, exhaust those questions in the textbook. But what's nice about this is you do get the instant feedback. So if you're doing the course in class, I mean, you've got your textbook, but who wants to carry a book around with you? You've always got this little thing on you, this little thing that you don't go to the bathroom without this device on you. So this will work with the question simulator. You can go to questionsimulator.com, sign up on there. The sign-up process doesn't look as nice as the actual course itself of the question simulator, but you go in there, you could make a quick little quiz, you could do a short quiz, you could do a mock exam where you're going through 100 questions just like you would on the exam. You could go through there, and you could log in and pick up wherever it is that you left off and just go through and just start answering questions. Say, okay, that's this, that's this, that's this. You get a question right, you're good to go. Maybe you guessed, you're still going to get the explanation. Hey, great job. This is why that question is the way it is, just in case you were guessing on this one. So that way you're understanding. This is now relating back to these key concepts. But what you're doing here is that you're making sure that you can now apply these key concepts in these more complex scenarios here, because that's what you've got to be able to do for your exam. You have to be able to apply this in this more complex situation it is that you're giving you. And the benefit of this here, especially if you're doing one of those 100 question mock exams, you go through that exam, you get a 90%, a 95%, 100%, yeah, you should be feeling pretty good. You should be feeling ready to take your exam when you're scoring high. If you're getting a 70%, a 75%, even an 80%, you might say, John, but all you need is a 75 to pass the exam. It's like, okay, well, let's take out a little bit of an insurance policy. Keep going through this till you get like an 85 and 90 and do that consistently. So that way, if you do get a little nervous or something, maybe you're a little bit thrown by some of the questions on the exam, you've got that insurance policy because you're already, shooting for 90s and 95%. And, if you might be disappointed that you get a 75%. You'll never know what score it is that you get when you pass there. But that way you're setting yourself up for success. If you're getting a 70%, if you're getting a 75%, even if you're getting an 80% for these practice exams it is that you're taking here, I would say you're not ready to take this. You could go take the state exam. You might get lucky. But if you want to be sure it is that you're ready to pass, keep going through these questions until you're consistently getting scores of 90% and above. If you're getting less than 90%, that's where, keep going back through this until you're getting above 90%. And again, John, I don't have to get 90%. I just need a 75%. You're absolutely right, but let's get that insurance policy so you know that you're going to be able to pass that exam when you go in there. Because when you know that you're ready, when you're feeling confident and prepared for the exam, you're walking in there chest out and you're ready to go in there, take your exam and pass, and you'll still probably get that little bit of level of anxiety and stress, and you'll feel mentally worn out after going through this exam. Hey, if I were to take this exam, I would feel mentally drained after going through this exam, because you've got to think about these questions. Even knowing as much that I've got the key points mastered, I wish I could know every possible way it is they would ask a question on the exam. I've got a good idea of how they might ask the questions, but I'm still going to go through these and have to apply these key concepts, and I'll feel drained after this exam, so will you as well. And that's part of the reason why you want to put this effort into study. I mean, you might have a friend you've talked to that's got the real estate license, and they might say, yeah, I took the exam 8 times and I eventually passed. You don't want to be that person that has to take the exam 8 times. Now, if you have to, if that's what it takes, go for it. No one's going to know you had to take the exam 8 times unless they go out and tell you for that. And actually, the people that are taking the exam over and over and over again, that perseverance that you're showing there is going to take you a long way in the real estate industry as well. But, it's mentally draining. It costs you money. Currently, the state exam is, I think, like $37 to take the exam. So, yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot, but you take that 10 times, you're looking at almost $400 to take the state exam, where if you spent a little time studying beforehand, you could have got it in just that one $37 shot there. So it's financially draining, it's mentally draining, it's emotionally and stressfully draining. And even if you don't pass the exam on the first try, you're going to be in good shape going through this stuff. You should be able to pass the exam on the first try if you're being honest and really going through these steps that we've got here. But to really make sure that you're confident and prepared, because what'll happen on this exam, it's designed to make you second guess yourself. It's designed, if you don't know the information that's taught in the course, you're going to have a hard time passing the exam. I know that I could go in and take these exams. I wish they'd let me so I could get a peek at some of the questions it is that they're throwing at you guys on there. But if I were to go in there and take these exams, I know that I've got these key points mastered, so I'll be able to, I wish they would tell me the score as well, because I would put money on it. I should be able to get at least 98%. Don't give me 2 questions in there I might get wrong. We'll throw that in there just for a chance of error. But I know, I'm confident I could pass this because I've got these key points mastered. You can master these key points as well. It doesn't take a lot to master the key points, but it does take a little. It does take some effort to go through and learn these key points and now be able to apply those in the questions. But again, to make sure that you're really feeling ready for the exam, we've got our first step here of being confident and prepared. So being confident and prepared is all about making sure that you're confident that you know this material. Now, if you're scoring 90%, 95% consistently taking these practice exams, you're probably going to feel pretty confident. But you might need a little bit of a boost. You might need a little bit of reassurance because, again, these exams are designed for the common person. If they're taking this exam, that there's answer choices that sound like common sense, the right answer, but when you relate to the information it is that you know from the course, you know that common sense answer that a normal person who hasn't mastered this material would look at would say, oh yeah, that's the right answer, but knowing this material, that's not the right answer. That's a distractor. That's something to throw you off the scent here. When you know this information, you're going to be in a lot better shape because you'll see these booby traps it is that they've got in there. So our last step is about being confident and prepared. I want to talk a little bit more about that, but first we're going to take a quick commercial break. Stick with us. I'm John Turismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Charismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Charismo. Every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to answer your questions and talk to you about the technical side of the real estate industry. And what we're talking about today is the steps it is that you want to go through to make sure you're ready, that you're confident and prepared to take the state exam, to take your class exam, to be able to pass these exams on the first try so you could go out there and you're ready to go. You're good to go, and you could start making money now that you've finally got your real estate license. This is something that stands in the way of you and making money. It's one of the obstacles you've got to overcome is passing your exam. And now, so disclaimer in all this, we call this our pass first try strategy, and we're confident that this will help you pass your exams on the first try, but it's a recommended strategy. We unfortunately can't legally guarantee that you'll pass the exam. We're prohibited, specifically prohibited from the Florida Real Estate Commission, and not only us, but all real estate schools are prohibited by the Florida Real Estate Commission from guaranteeing that you're going to pass a license exam. We're not allowed to say, well, we guarantee you pass the exam. It's a FREC rule, specifically a FREC rule. Why that is the way it is, I don't know. Maybe it's something about the way things are advertised, or maybe people trying to steal the exam, or whatever the case may be. But look, these recommendations, we didn't just make this up and say, hey, look, this sounds like a good thing. No, we took our years of experience and we said, okay, what do you have to do to be ready to take the exams? What did we do when we took our exams to be ready? What do our students do? And we take this collectively all together, and we distilled this down and simplified it down to these steps. You learn the information. Number one, that's required by the Florida Real Estate Commission. You either learn that in class or online. Either way, though, you've got to learn this information in a FREC-approved course. But that's what most people do when they stop. They learn the information, they say, okay, I learned the information, now I can go take the exam. Not quite. Well, you can go take the exam. Nothing's going to stop you from taking the exam once you've passed your end of course exam, once you've passed your course. But you're probably not going to be happy with the results there. Who knows? You might get lucky. I've yet to hear somebody say, oh, yeah, I didn't study at all for this exam, just went in there, aced the thing. That's what I used to do back in high school, in college. I was that student. They would always just like, no, I don't need to do homework. I've got this material down. I know the way you guys write test questions. This is easy. I don't need to study this stuff here. And I was able to get by and just off of that. Went to go get my real estate license, completely different story. Now, thank God I took a practice exam before taking any real exams. Before I even took my end of course exam, I was like, all right, well, let me do one of these practice tests here and see how it is that I do. If I score pretty well, then, I should be ready to take the exam, because I've heard all the rumors. Oh, it's 50% pass rate. Oh, this is a hard test. It's a hard course. Oh, yeah. And I knew people in it, and they told me, this is really difficult. I was like, all right, well, let's find out how difficult this is. So I pull up a practice exam. I think it was one of the ones in the textbook at the time, and I go through it. And I get to question number 30, and I'm just ready to throw in the towel at this point. I was like, I don't even know what I'm looking at here. So I tried to just learn the information, just do that bare minimum. it didn't work out for me, it probably isn't going to work out for you either. And that's what a lot of people just try to do. They try to just skate by with the least possible, which, look, I understand it. It's the simplest thing. But look, this is a hard exam if you don't have this information mastered. This exam isn't designed to test you on how smart you are. I'd like to think I'm a pretty smart guy, but that exam said otherwise, because it's not about how smart you are. It's about how well you know these key points and how well you can apply these key points in the questions it is that they're asking. So learning the information, that's number one, but that's the bare minimum. Now you've got to make sure you don't forget this information as you go through it, that as you go deeper into the course, you're remembering, you're constantly reviewing and reinforcing this information at the beginning. That's what we've got our MP3 audio review for. Go on that website, mp3audioreview.com, listen to the first chapter for free. Find out if you want to invest in that MP3 audio review, because look, I guarantee you it's a great way to prepare yourself for the exam. You might not like listening to real estate laws and real estate concepts, and you might be sick of hearing all this stuff, but the more it is that you drill it in your head, the better you're going to remember these key concepts, because that's the key here. Not being smart, but remembering. That's what you need to do, remember. So make sure that you're reviewing those key concepts. So you remember these simple key concepts, but now you need to apply those in the aspect of the question. That's where our question simulator comes in. Our question simulator, you can find that at questionsimulator.com. This is a great way to test your knowledge, to find out if you're ready for the exam. Like I said, my recommendation, keep going through that until you can consistently get scores of 90% or higher. If that's the point you're at, you should be in really good shape for the exam. But you need to make sure you're confident and prepared as well. That's our last step that I want to talk about today. And it's really the last step in our pass first try strategy. Being confident and prepared is about making sure that you're not going to second guess yourself. When you see these exam questions, you'll find this out to a certain extent going through the exam questions in our question simulator, even the questions that are in your textbook or the questions that are already in your online course. You'll see the way that they're worded. You'll see that they're in there and they're kind of tricky sounding. Now, if you just learn the information, it's usually pretty easy to say, okay, that's what I just learned, that's what they're testing on. But you'll find the way they word these questions, the answer choices that are in there can get a little bit tricky. And I can't tell you how many exams I've graded. The in-class exams where you're doing it on a bubble sheet with the paper, where you're filling them in with a pencil, and I've been grading exams and I see a question that's marked wrong and it's got eraser marks over the right answer. And the exams are designed to do that. Not just a class exam. We're not trying to be mean to you. We're trying to emulate that state exam environment. We're showing you, hey, the state exam will make you second guess yourself. So don't fall victim to that. Don't be the person that goes, oh, I think it's this, but this sounds right as well, and just change your answer to this here. You've got to be confident in your knowledge. If you're not confident in your knowledge of this material, you're very likely to second guess yourself. And we've got something to help you be confident, to help have like a little bit of a cram session before it is that you take your exam, and that's our weekend prep class. And you can find that one at weekendprepclass.com. Those are all .coms at the end, just in case you can't read my handwriting. But weekendprepclass.com. I'm one of the instructors for our weekend prep classes. It's only our top instructors that we have teach our weekend prep classes, because this is very accelerated. This class is good with a couple contingencies. Number one, that you're not putting time between you doing this class and going to take your exam. Time is your worst enemy in reviewing and trying to take this exam, because time will help you forget the information. We don't want to forget the information, we want to remember the information. So you've got to take time out of the equation. If you're going to schedule one of these weekend prep classes, make sure you've got your exam scheduled for right after this weekend prep class. It's most effective when you come out of this class and you go take your exam within the next day or two, because the more time it is that you put between this class and your exam, look, if you're going to take this weekend prep class and then 6 months later decide to take your state exam, don't take the weekend prep class. Wait until right before your exam, then schedule yourself a weekend prep class. I wouldn't say to try to do it more than a week or so out, maybe 2 weeks. One of the things you could do to make sure that you're not forgetting the stuff too much is now default back to reinforcing these key points. If you're doing something every day after taking this weekend prep class, this is help avoiding that side effect of forgetting this information. But again, it's a very intense cram session where we're cramming this all into one weekend, and even the next day, you're going to be like, oh, wow, it's a lot. And this information is just going to start pouring out of you unless you use it. If you don't use it, you lose it. So again, you cram this in very quickly, but if you don't use it, you lose it. Now, the other thing, so I said there's a couple contingencies. Number one, you want to make sure you take your state exam or class exam or whatever exams it is that you're studying for right after. Within a week or two of taking this course, anything longer than that and you're setting yourself up for failure. The sooner you could take your exams, the better after taking this weekend prep class, because it'll make sure that you're not forgetting this information. And if you're not taking your exam the very next day, make sure you're reviewing every day. The other thing is you don't want to go just learn the information and now come to the weekend prep class. That's step 4. I know you want to try to simplify things. Look, we've already simplified this process as much as we can for studying. You can't just go right from step 1 to step 4. We put the weekend prep class as step 4 because it seems appealing. Oh, I just go through this weekend, I sit there through the weekend class, and then I'll be ready to take my exam, right? What you'll find going through this weekend prep class, because it is an intense class, it is very fast-paced. This isn't designed to teach you this information, it's designed to reinforce the information, designed to help you be ready, to help make you 100%. But if you don't know the information going into this class, you're going to have a hard time reviewing it in this weekend prep class. So that's why we've got these other steps in between here. To use the MP3 audio review to make sure you've got these key points down. To use the question simulator to make sure you can apply these concepts. And then use the weekend prep class to make sure that you're confident and prepared and ready for the exam. So that's your last step. Right before you take the exam is when you want to try to do that weekend prep class. No more than 2 weeks, ideally within a week, ideally within a couple days of taking this week prep class. That's when you want to take your exam. So you're forgetting the least amount of information possible, because as fast as we cram this in, it's going to start falling out as well. Our short-term memory, unfortunately, as humans, is not very strong. Now, we could turn something into long-term memory, but that takes the repetition. That takes the reinforcing. So if you're not taking your exam the next day after taking this class, now default back to step number 2, reinforcing again, and then step number 3, testing yourself again to make sure you're not forgetting this information. So this is almost like a cyclical process until it is that you take your exam. But again, this last one, the weekend prep class, to make this most effective, take it right before you take your exam. Be ready when you come in there to make yourself 100%, so you're already almost there, and this is your last little push to lock in, to make sure that you're confident, to make sure you know this information. That's when this is most effective. Hey, I'm not going to stop you from signing up for a class regardless of what your intentions are, but if you want to get the most out of this weekend prep class, which is what I want for you, I want you to be successful. All of our instructors, we as a school, want to see you successful, and if you want to be successful with this class, come to this class ready, already having reviewed this information and wanting to just kind of lock in, tie up a couple of loose ends, and be ready now to take your exam right after the weekend prep class. That's our pass first try strategy. And we put a lot of thought into this, devising this and creating this. And that's why we have these specific tools that are designed to complement this strategy, to give you a passive way to reinforce the information just by listening through your headphones, your car, whenever it is that you want to listen to the MP3 audio review. To be able to use our question simulator, or the question simulator that's already built into your online course if you're taking the online course, to be able to kind of just go through right on your phone. Pull out your phone when you're sitting at the waiting office at your doctor, while you're waiting for your car to be serviced, or whatever the case may be, and just go through and answering some questions. And then taking that weekend prep class to really lock yourself in, tie up the loose ends, give you one last chance in front of an instructor to really kind of make yourself 100% and ready to go, and then go take your exam, pass it, and then go make some money with your real estate license. That's our Pass First Try strategy. You can view the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. Again, that's passfirsttry.com. Before we sign off here, I want to get some shout outs. So we got Jamal Powell signing in. I must have said something funny at some point. I appreciate you enjoying my humor. I try to add a little bit of dose of humor in this so the stuff doesn't seem as boring. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing your reaction with us. Also, Logan, regular tuning in here. What's up to you as well? Hopefully you're still on the stream and watching. But that's all we got for you guys. Look, if you've got questions on any of this stuff, call us up. Our phone number is 813-928-0106. We could walk you through these different study tools. We could kind of help you. Maybe you've already done some studying on your own. Maybe you've got these key points down, but you just want to test yourself out and find out if you're ready to take the exam. We recommend this strategy in full, but any one of these different study tools is going to help make you better prepared to pass your exam. So that's our Pass First Try strategy. You can find it online at passfirsttry.com. There's links to all 3 of these study tools it is that we offer at passfirsttry.com. So definitely check that out. Again, it's passfirsttry.com. And you saw just flashing across the bottom of the screen there. And again, give us a call. We're standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way it is that we can. Our phone number is 813-928-0106. That's all I've got for you guys today. I will see you guys Friday for State of Real Estate.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa? If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com. Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.